Alrighty, we're back here after week one of the first week with episode 3 of the Balls Deep podcast. We're gonna start this week, give a little overview of what happened, go into our favorite pickups, biggest winner and loser, most exciting or one of our favorite players from everybody's team this week, best matchup for next week, and then our updated power rankings.
All right, so let's start off with just a quick recap of the week. So we've got Clayton over Casey, me over Nate, Sam over Harley, Duane over Joey, and Tanner over Sean. So going into the biggest loser of the week.
You are one pathetic loser.
That would be Casey. Casey only put up 78 points this week, and it did not get helped by the fact that he played against our biggest winner, Clayton Having, who put up 152. But we'll go more in depth of that later. But yeah, Casey, you suck. Clayton, good week. So I think let's hop right into the best pickups of the week.
And my favorite pickup this week would be Kenny Golladay. I thought in Detroit's offense, I think he is now the number 2 wide receiver, in my opinion. I think Golden Tate's still the guy to own. I think Matthew Stafford and Golden Tate just always consistently, Golden Tate's going to get targets. And I'm going to say number 2 wide receiver. I think he's kind of on par with Marvin Jones. He just looks good. He looked good in the preseason. There was a lot of hype last season. I think that's a solid pickup by Casey. Get him for free. And kind of a nice little handcuff because he does have Marvin Jones. So good pickup for Casey.
I still think in the end, those Tate and Jones will finish 1 and 2. I don't know which order, but Golladay will finish his 3rd, but he will have value because of the amount of 3 wide receiver sets that Detroit runs. Then my favorite pickup was caused by an injury. We had Greg Olsen go down this week with the same foot injury that he basically took away his whole last season, and it's an injury that is common to repeat itself, especially if you don't get surgery for it, which Greg Olsen opted not to do. I wouldn't be surprised if he misses the whole rest of the season, opts for surgery. But Tanner added George Kittle, a guy who had 5 catches for 90 yards this week against the Vikings, a very good defense, and who I think he had more opportunity, dropped a couple passes or didn't make the full opportunity of what he had. And I think he'll be a solid pickup. I like the pickup. He got him for free. And I think he'll be a solid tight end.
Alrighty, so hopping into our favorite players, we're going to go into Tanner versus Sean's matchup. I'm going to talk about...
You are one pathetic loser.
That's still a case. I'm going to play that every couple minutes just so he knows.
Okay, so Sean was a pathetic loser too, honestly, with only 91. But
Second worst.
Tanner's team, Sanders for me, that's the guy that I really liked on Tanner's team after week 1. I didn't like him so much pre-draft, but 24 points. He had 10 catches for 135 yards and a touchdown, and he looks like Case Keenum and him are going to have a great season together, and Tanner has been preaching that. And so solid draft pick by Tanner, and I'm excited to see how he does this.
You saw Thielen with Keenum excel so much last season, and yeah, Sanders could, if he falls into that role, then I think you can see that he's still got it. It's not that he was getting old or anything. So yeah. Moving on to Sean's team, the guy that I liked is Mike Evans, with 7 catches, 147 yards, and a touchdown. Put up 24 points. One of the better receiver plays of the week, and one of the guys who I did not think, especially at the beginning of the season, was going to play so well. With Winston out, you weren't sure about Ryan Fitzpatrick, and you still can't be 100% confident in Ryan Fitzpatrick moving forward.
It's not about Fitzmagic, though.
But he did look good this week, and you can't deny that. I don't expect them to score 48 points every week, but Mike Evans scoring 1 touchdown a week, I mean, to get to 10 to 12 on the season, I wouldn't be surprised.
Double-digit touchdowns, that's reasonable. Moving on, we're going to go into my matchup versus Casey's matchup. For Casey's team, I'd say Jordan Reed. It was nice to see Jordan Reed on the field. He only had 5 targets, so maybe you want him to get a little bit more target-wise if he wants to really be elite. He did have 12 points, which is like a solid week for a tight end. Four catches, 48 yards, and touchdown. And if he's healthy, I think Alex Smith is really going to throw him the ball. And
That's always been the problem with Jordan Reed is he just can't stay healthy, especially at that tight end position. And so I think Alex Smith, he falls in that Kelsey role. I think Jordan Reed finishes the number 3 tight end this week. I mean, you're not going to see that many points out of that many tight ends this year. You saw a lot of injuries happen.
Yeah,
Delaney Walker's on IR, Greg Olsen, Zach Ertz busted a little bit this week. So, yeah, if you're putting up top 3 numbers behind Gronk and,
I don't know who the numbers
possibly fluky Jared Cook,
Yeah.
then we'll see. But, yeah, I mean, he's definitely got the potential to be the first or second best tight end in the league this year.
For sure.
So moving on with Clayton, I'll talk about Michael Thomas, a guy who had 17 targets this week and converted 16 of them into catches, 180 yards, and 1 touchdown. So last year, I had Michael Thomas, and what I loved about him was his consistency. I don't think he ever put up 30 points, but he may have gotten under 10 once or twice last year. He was a solid wide receiver, and I think ever since that first season that he had, he's just continually gotten better and better. And, I mean, now he's putting up 30 points, 16 catches.
That's ridiculous.
I think the record's 20, so he was obviously closing in on that. And another game where the stats are boosted by a shootout. You don't expect them to put up 40 points every week unless that Saints defense is as bad as they looked, which I don't think they are.
Yeah, you got to think the Saints defense will do better.
So I don't expect them to score 40 points every week. Drew Brees is the type of quarterback that even in his almost 40-year-old season could put up 40 points a week.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't expect them to. I don't
think they'll have to, and then when Ingram comes back, I think that might hurt Thomas's value a little bit. The big thing with Thomas is if he can consistently get in the end zone, I mean, that could boost him all the way. He could finish really, really, really high if he scores.
And I think he had only 5 touchdowns last year, and so he's on pace for a really good season. So I'm excited to see what he does moving forward.
Moving on between Duane's matchup and Joey's matchup. For Joey, not like anybody that really popped crazy, but Odell Beckham Jr., the thing that I liked about watching him is he looked mature on the field. You had a guy like Jalen Ramsey who loves to talk smack and stuff, and you have Odell Beckham that, maybe kind of likes to get emotional and let the emotions kind of take over, and he didn't. And I think part of that is the new contract. I think he's going to be more mature, and 11 catches for 111 yards. It's not a bad week. 17 points, it's not a bad week. I would take that out of my number 1 wide receiver every week. And so it was nice to see Odell Beckham Jr. do good on a good contract and against the number 1 defense in the league, in my opinion, in Jacksonville. So
Exactly. And the best corner in the league, 1v1 matchup probably. Yeah. So moving on to Duane's team, my favorite was watching Old Man Peterson play at 50 years old. He had, I think it was 26 carries, 96 yards, a touchdown. And then something that kind of uncharacteristic of Peterson in the past was the 2 catches for, well, I guess 2 catches is kind of normal, but for 70 yards.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He was incredibly efficient with his targets and with his receptions, and you have to expect that to drop off a little bit. But even bigger than that, my concern with Peterson moving forward is his age. At actual 33 years old, you saw a big game with the Cardinals in his first game last year when he was rested after being on the Saints, being on the bench a lot. He's had the offseason off. He just got with the team. I mean, it's not that hard to learn an offense as a running back. He's a veteran. He's had a lot of rest, and I want to see how he does next week after 26 carries. I mean, it takes a toll on you.
Yeah, definitely. And especially, like you said, I mean, 33 years old.
The way he runs,
a little bit bigger toll.
Especially, he's not a small guy. He's kind of still a bruiser and running over people. So that takes a toll on you, and I want to see how he does next week.
Moving on between Harley and Sam's matchup, I have Sam, and I'm going to say Melvin Gordon. Kamara did pop off for the big 37, and
37 on 17 touches. That's ridiculous.
And I think he had the tied most points, him and Hill, for the most points this week by a player started. But
by started, yeah.
Yeah. But Melvin Gordon, what you did see the inefficient running that we're kind of used to with Melvin Gordon. He's not the most efficient running back.
You get him over 4 yards and you got to be pretty happy. I mean, that's 4.5.
True.
Yards, yeah.
I mean, he's still going to get the touches. The crazy thing with Melvin Gordon, though, This week he had 9 catches for 102 yards. And Melvin Gordon, kind of coming into the league, that was kind of like a little bit of a concern. Was like, how can you catch the ball out of the backfield? But this offseason he worked with LT, and obviously that work paid off. 9 catches for 102 yards. They did kind of want him to do more of that after the Hunter Henry injury, and he looked excellent out this week.
Anytime you can get a running back over 100 yards receiving, that just gives you such a boost because you know they're usually catching those short passes. They get over 100 yards, you know they've probably caught a lot of balls.
Yeah, that's over 10 yards a catch. So.
Yeah, so they've probably caught a lot of balls. You get that boost from the extra 100 yards as a running back. So you've also got those 15 carries, and it's just awesome value for a guy that's going to be a dual threat like that.
Yeah.
So for Harley's team, I went with Jarvis Landry. So last season, Jarvis didn't have a single game over 100 yards, and in his first game with the Cleveland Browns, goes over 100 yards. He handled over 40% of the targets, 706, no touchdowns, which, I mean, you're kind of used to seeing it. That's even a more efficient stat line than you used to see from Jarvis. I mean, I'm almost used to 10 catches for 80 yards.
Yeah, 60 or 80 yards.
When he played in Miami. So starting 7, I mean, he's a little bit more involved in a little bit of a downfield passing game. I still don't think you're going to see him be a deep threat or anything. He's still going to do his damage underneath and with the small drags. But he's got value. I mean, even with Josh Gordon in the game, we saw that he might not play a bunch, but he did. And Jarvis still handled that massive target load. And he gets a little benefit playing an extra 15 minutes. But still, I think Jarvis was a good pick, and I want to see if he can get a couple end zone targets and be valuable this year.
I will say that game was also in the rain, a lot of it. So, I mean, even that, I mean, you could look at that. He did get the overtime, but, I mean, a lot of that game was in the rain. Crazy game, but.
And he gets to go up against New Orleans this next week, who just got torched. So.
Moving on between Ryan and Nate. So for Ryan, Patrick Mahomes, like, what you want to see out of a rookie quarterback is, not a rookie quarterback, but first-year starting quarterback, is exactly what Patrick Mahomes did. 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. He looked like he had control of that offense. Him and Tyreek Hill, crazy dynamic duo. Like, I was so excited to watch.
They just complement each other about as well as it can work.
Yeah, and so he looked excellent. 256 yards, 4 touchdowns. He also added 5 carries for 21 yards. So he does have that rushing mix. And second last quarterback drafted, that value is crazy. And I'm so excited to watch the Chiefs offense all year long.
I love it. The only thing, I'll be realistic, this is a guy that I want to succeed. He plays for my favorite team. He plays for my fantasy team. The only thing that concerns me is the Deshaun Watson type efficiency that he had. I mean, he only completed 15 passes. 4 of them were touchdowns. A couple of them were pretty short. So maybe you don't expect him to get 4 touchdowns on 256 yards and 15 completions week in and week out. But if he can even get 2 touchdowns and keep the interceptions at a reasonable number, then, yeah, like you said, that value for it. He may not be Aaron Rodgers type, but the value that I got in the middle rounds.
Yeah, definitely. I will say, though, I think the Chiefs' defense is weaker than in years past. So they might have to throw the ball late in the game. And so garbage time, you could definitely benefit from that.
That's true. So then finally we've got Nate. And Nate was hard. The middle of Nate's lineup is super solid. But I went with Joe Mixon. He's a guy who I had last year and wasn't quite what everyone expected or hoped for him to be. But this year, you can see that they really want him to be in that workhorse role. I mean, 17 carries for 95 yards and a touchdown, 5 catches for 54 yards. So he had that dual threat capability where he did damage.
And he is a 3-down back, and expected to be.
I don't expect to see Gio very much at all this year unless Joe Mixon is just tired. I don't expect them to be bringing Gio in for anything except for relief of Joe Mixon, and then Joe Mixon back in.
Yeah, I mean, and if it wasn't for his off-the-field issues, he would have been drafted really high in the draft. So it's, he's a good guy. Like, he's a good player, and we saw that this week.
Skill, and the Bengals offense put up some points. He got in the end zone. You saw him convert his red zone touches into a touchdown, which you always want to see from running backs in those short yard situations. All right, so let's move on to our matchups next week, guys. So we want to go into our best matchup next week, and we'll go into power rankings after this. So these may not be the teams that are the best, but these are the games that we're interested in kind of watching and that might be interesting to other people in the league.
Yeah, and so I'll hop right into it. And my matchup that I think is the best matchup is Ryan versus Casey. You saw Casey have an awful week, 78 points, lowest score by, double digits. honestly, when everybody had a good week one, Casey just didn't. But they're roommates. I mean, they talk crap to each other all the time, every single day of the week, night and day, Sunday, Monday, Thursday, nonstop. I mean,
Yeah, Casey.
You suck, you jackass.
I mean, that to me makes it the matchup of the week. I mean, it is also close projection wise. Most of these are, but 104, 107. Casey is a 3-point favorite right now, but that should be an entry matchup this week.
Yep, and then the second set of roommates we've got playing this week are Nate and Sean, so I'm interested to watch that. Like Clayton said, it's so much fun to be playing someone in person that you can look in the eye and tell them that they suck or that you beat them. I mean, watching Clayton and Casey this past week, I mean, poor Casey, but
It was a little rougher.
but it can go either way, and so that's just so much fun to watch. They're projected super close at 104 and 103. Nate's got a 1-point advantage right now, and that obviously might change as the week goes on. Projections change and lineups change, but I'm excited to watch that game, and I don't know, maybe they'll come over. You guys are invited. So let's hop into our power rankings, and we'll start down at 10. So we really didn't want to make this into who scored X amount of points, run down 1 through 10. We wanted to try to look a little deeper, but with only 1 week in the season, it's a little hard to
yeah, definitely.
project who's going to turn it around, who's going to score more points next week. So we'll try to do this. I think we should do this every week.
Yeah, update power rankings.
Updated power rankings every week. And once we get farther into the season, it'll be easier. Like maybe you have a bad week, but your power ranking is going to stay more stable.
Yeah, I mean,
but for week one, it's just going to fluctuate based on what happened in our 1 week of action. So
definitely.
So we'll start at 10. We have our lowest scorer, Casey, with only 78. And, I mean, there's not much to say. You hope for some bounce backs from guys like DeAndre Hopkins, who kind of depends on Deshaun Watson. Jordan Howard did look good. I like Jordan Howard.
The fact with Jordan Howard is he did catch the ball like Melvin Gordon out of the backfield, and that's something you've never seen before.
Never seen.
And he did that, and
not just Melvin Gordon at least was competent in the passing game.
Yeah, that's right.
Jordan Howard looked like no one had ever thrown him a ball.
Yeah,
his whole lifetime. I remember watching him drop a touchdown pass last year, a game-winning touchdown pass for the Bears. And when you're only 2-14, that hurts.
Oh, definitely. Everyone really matters.
Exactly. But yeah, so we've got Casey at 10.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, 78 points. When everybody else had a really good week, you have to put Casey down.
Yeah, so I think Casey's due for a bounce back, though. I don't think his quarterback will have such bad play. And he's got Carson Wentz sitting on his bench just waiting to come back in.
And at number 9, we have Sean. So the thing with Sean's team is Deshaun Watson didn't play that good.
No.
He did play New England. Bill Belichick's known for kind of being, good game planning against people, especially younger quarterbacks. Kind of worried me about Barkley. He just didn't. I mean, he did play the Jags defense, and we already talked about how they're the number 1 defense.
He
but
salvaged his day, though. So
yeah, and he got most of his points out of that one big long run. He wasn't doing that great until he hit that run. I will say for Sean's team, Mike Evans looked really, really good, and we did talk about that already. So
he got him late. Yep. So
and then Sean must also really hope that Kareem Hunt will step it up and he'll have a better week.
And I think he will. The short touchdown pass. I think Mahomes may have had 1 or 2 one-yard touchdown passes. So as the season goes on, you're going to see some of those go to Hunt as goal line carries.
Yeah, and then Zach Ertz too. I mean, with Carson Wentz coming back, you would expect Ertz to get a boost. So Sean definitely still has potential to bounce back, but after only scoring 91, I mean, you're a little concerned.
Yep. And it's okay. Moving on. Again, this is kind of going in order of scoring. We've got Joey at 8 with 103 this week, losing to Duane. Joey, his team didn't look bad. You put up 103 points. You break that 100 barrier. That's kind of a cutoff where you're like, okay, maybe I could win this week. Especially in our league scoring, you get 100 points, you get hopeful at least. I think that's...
Yeah, no, I definitely agree.
So he broke the 100 barrier. That's kind of our mark for, I think, at least a good week versus a bad week. And he lost Leonard Fournette in the first half, so he lost a lot of points there. You saw Cousins still play pretty well in a game where they didn't have to put up very many points.
Yeah, they didn't have to use him. And we mentioned that a little bit. My thing with Joey is Kenyon Drake, all of the Dolphins' offense looked pretty decent against the Titans. And Kenyon Drake, 7 points. I mean, I don't know, was kind of a question mark at the beginning, like pre-draft or post-draft. But I don't know, 7 points on Kenny Drake, it worries me a little bit.
And Gore looked decent. I will admit that I was wrong about Gore. He looked pretty good in that game. So that dude just keeps running. But I still expect Drake to finish as a running back too, where Joey's kind of got him. And hopefully he can get Fournette back soon enough. You never like to see a good player like that, a second-round pick, go down in week 1.
Yeah, for sure. Coming in at number 7, we have Harley. And so with Harley's team, he's still got a lot of big-name guys like Todd Gurley, Russell Wilson, A.J. Green, LaShawn McCoy. Like, the talent's there, and he did put up a respectable 113 points. Like, that's a good week. I will say, the worries me about Harley, LaShawn McCoy didn't. I mean, the Bills looked awful. 47-3. Are you kidding me? Like, and they are starting.
Coach deserves to be fired for starting Nathan Peterman again. That is
They are starting Josh Allen next week. So hopefully that helps Harley out a little bit. But I mean, Gurley obviously played good. Russ against the Denver defense that's traditionally been good in the past played good. AJ Green played all right. I mean, 113 is a good week. It's hard to rank some of these guys where they are after putting up a week like that.
Definitely. So then 6, we've got our highest scoring loser with Nate at 115 points, who lost yours truly, but gave me a good scare.
That came down Monday night.
Came down to Monday night with Golden Tate. I was about one finger click away from putting in Marshawn Lynch, and that would have lost me the game. But we're celebrating instead. But Nate's team looked good, like I mentioned before. He's got a solid lineup with Brady, Mixon, McCaffrey, who did not have a good week. You just didn't see much out of Christian McCaffrey, which was disappointing with all the hype around him this season.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing with Christian McCaffrey is him running efficiency. Like
it's not there.
It's not there, and that offense, I don't know. Cam Newton, he looked good, and they got the job done against Dallas. It was a low-scoring game, but I don't know. You kind of expect, like, they're starting to get some skill guys drafted. Like Christian McCaffrey, Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore's there now. You want that offense to be a little bit more exciting, I think, and that would be Nate's
especially with Cam Newton at the helm.
Yeah.
You'd hope.
But Nate's solid, like we already talked about. AB, Demarius.
And somehow, no matter how many interceptions or how many games Big Ben tries to lose, somehow Antonio Brown still puts up respectable fantasy points every single week. I think he was still in the top 10.
I definitely agree with that. And
we saw that a lot this week from guys with bad quarterback play.
But their wide receivers didn't necessarily take the biggest hit.
Exactly. We saw it with Golden Tate. We saw it with Matt Ryan. Saw it with Antonio Brown. I mean, it was kind of weird to me. I kind of watched that along.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Coming in after Nate, we have the person who beat Nate, Ryan, who's sitting right next to me. Oh my goodness! Well, this kid. But the thing, Ryan, like crazy exciting game. Second half of where his last player was playing, scored on a day that Detroit didn't look good. So it was exciting to watch. But Mahomes killed it, 35. He was the highest quarterback that was started by one of our members. Obviously, Fitzpatrick and Drew Brees put up more points than he did. Yep. But who was started in our league, he looked great, which we kind of ranked Ryan as a weak spot. So that has to give Ryan a little bit of a boost. Gronk looked excellent. The little bit of concern I have with Ryan's team is the Cardinals' offense looked so bad, and David Johnson was Ryan's first pick.
Still glad I still take him over Le'Veon.
No, yeah, definitely.
So.
But, like you kind of...
And he pulled together his day with a touchdown.
Yeah, and I'm curious. Would you like them to start Rosen?
I think I almost do, because I think David Johnson is such a security blanket, and for a rookie quarterback like that, just little dump offs, I'll take those points all day.
So
and let David Johnson get into open space. In a PPR league, I would actually enjoy that. But he did get 9 targets from Bradford, so Bradford's always been dink and dunks, so either way, I think Johnson's going to get those targets, and I think he had 5 catches this week. If he converts 2 more, that's 17 points. He still had 15 points, so I'm still so happy with my first pick. But yeah, the efficiency just wasn't there. I think he only had 9 carries, And I just don't think that's something that'll happen. Moving forward.
Yeah, and I mean they were losing a lot. Maybe that's the other worry with the Cardinals is
I don't think you expect that offense to be that bad.
Yeah,
all year.
that's fair. That's fair.
They have enough weapons that I think they're not going to be in the top, maybe even half of the league, but you don't expect them to be that bad and uncompetitive.
Yeah. And coming in at number 4, we have Sam. And so one thing we will mention real quick is Sam and Harley's game was so crazy. We've had some really close, exciting games, and this game didn't finish close.
There's just never been more scenarios for how a game could end. I know.
This was
different possibilities.
Ridiculous
On a Monday.
Yeah, Monday
On a
night.
Monday.
Last game, because there was 2. You had Todd Gurley on Harley's team, but then you had Amari Cooper Kupp, and the Rams defense on Sam's team, and we're coming down to the last 4 minutes, and it's a really close game, and Todd Gurley's tearing it up for Harley, and he does really good. And then Cooper Kupp gets the touchdown that helps Sam. And then Todd Gurley goes back and, gets it carried. He takes it all the way down to the 2-yard line, which would give Harley, the lead.
I think it was 1 point he was within.
Yeah,
Sam
so
at that point.
the touchdown obviously would have helped him out. And then the ball goes back to the Oakland Raiders. Mm-hmm. So Sam has to lead this point. If Oakland scores, a field goal, Sam loses.
Exactly. But if it goes to Amari Cooper and Oakland scores, then I don't even know how it would have worked exactly.
I think Sam would have pulled
Sam still would have won. But the crazy thing was Sam almost had to be rooting against his own defense, I think.
Yeah.
To not give Todd Gurley the ball back.
Yeah. Because especially late in the game when they have the lead, Todd Gurley's going to be feeding the rock. But to me, just crazy game, a really exciting fantasy game. We had 3 very exciting fantasy games. Kind of Joey and Duane's game too was exciting with Corral.
Exactly.
But just a side note there. But with Sam's team, what we really like, and as you can see on the screen, Kamara and Gordon, 60 points combined for the 2 of them, and that's a crazy 1-2 running back punch. You expect Matt Ryan.
It's the best in the league.
Yeah, you expect Matt Ryan to put up some more points. Andrew Luck did good, so T.Y. is going to look good. Maybe the concern on Sam's team would be his wide receiver 2 or
Cooper.
Flex.
Right now, I'm worried about Cooper if I'm Sam because you saw it all last year where he only had 1 game where he really popped off, and I'm worried about Cooper at this point.
Yeah.
You could say that the Rams corners are probably the 2 best corners in the league, so he had to go up against that. But right now, I'm scared about Cooper if I'm Sam.
Yeah, that's fair.
So then coming in at 3, we've got the other Larson. We've got Tanner. Put up a ton of points this week, 133, and the only reason he's not higher at 2 would be his running backs. He's starting at the moment, starting Phillip Lindsay, picked him up. That's his running back 2, who, as a guy who's got capital in that backfield, I've got Royce Freeman, so I'm personally rooting against Phillip Lindsay. I think he's got potential to kind of have a
like
role.
the pickup,
but as a running back too, I can't have a ton of faith in Tanner's running backs with Rex Burkhead and Phillip Lindsay as his 2 starting running backs.
Yeah.
And granted, he lost McKinnon, so that hurts Tanner's team.
Yeah, definitely.
But I would like to mention that we're talking about why Tanner isn't higher. Tanner's still at 3 in our rankings right now, which is awesome. And the reason he's there, or he's got his awesome 2 wide receivers in Julio Jones and Keenan Allen, and he's got his awesome quarterbacks with Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees.
And then his flex. You can't count out Sanders, who shores up his he has the best wide receivers in the league and the best quarterbacks right now.
Yep.
And no shame in that. Number 3, Emmanuel Sanders did really good, and for me, I didn't expect that, so that's why Tanner gets a huge jump, and because he put up 100.
Yep. I'd like to see how Julio does next week because of his up and down kind of nature, but you hope that Julio gets in the end zone eventually.
Yeah, and I will say Von Miller for Tanner's defense. That defense against Seattle,
that's one of the worst offensive lines in the league. I still want to see Denver play against a better offense.
Yeah, but I don't know. Von Miller looked extremely well.
He did. You can't take away that Von Miller is one of the top 2, 3, 4 defensive players in the league in general, and maybe the best pass rusher in the league. So you can't take that away from him.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to number 2, we have the other Larson.
Did I say the other Larson?
Well,
whatever.
But Duane every year drafts really solid. So week 1, he usually
Dwayne
performs
Draft's really
good.
solid for his starting lineup.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Fair enough.
Always. Which is a strategy.
Yeah, for sure. And so you have Cam Newton at the starting quarterback position, solid guy. Then you move down into Adrian Peterson, who did excellent. Then you have on his bench Le'Veon Bell, who you hope comes back for Dwayne. Like, Dwayne put up 121 without Le'Veon this week. I think he's the only person who didn't have his number 1 pick for the whole game this week. So, like, just put that in perspective, everybody.
Yep.
Adrian Peterson did great. Crowell did great. Dwayne just he looks good. And what also really helps Dwayne is he does draft defense and kicker maybe not extremely early, but way earlier than everybody else. And so that definitely helps Dwayne as well. But solid week by Dwayne, 121 points, and without Le'Veon is the key.
Yep. And then so at number 1, only guy left sitting next to me, the co-host.
Yo, boy.
We've got Clayton. He put up 152 this week. 150. That's a landmark in our league. Where you have an excellent week, and when you can do it with only, I believe, 10 points from your quarterback, that's a pretty solid week. And he's got the benefit from James Conner a little bit, where Le'Veon might come back and you'll lose some of those points. Do I expect Michael Thomas to get 17 targets a week? No. But
16 catches a week.
and convert 16 of them. But, he had an awesome week, and you can't take it away. I mean, right now he's the best team in the league. His bench looks good with Deion Lewis and Jay Ajayi. So you've got a lot of talent on Clayton's team. Good receivers, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, he's a boom bust kind of guy. So, I mean, I don't expect him to always like bust open like that, especially if Mahomes is only completing 15 passes.
Exactly.
So, but the big thing for me is probably getting James Conner Tuesday morning for free, and with Le'Veon not being there, he's a top 10 running back. And I do have Zeke already, who is a top 10 running back.
And you saw when D'Angelo Williams played for Le'Veon, or stepped in for Le'Veon Bell, he was the best. He was actually number 1. So that's Connor's ceiling is number 1.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, so I think that'll wrap up this week's episode. And I will say I hope everyone has a good week except for Tanner and probably Harley. So.
Alrighty, good luck to you guys next week. Thanks for watching.